Live from the Captain Black Fishing Studios, you have the Garnet and Old Show. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. I'm Ryan. That's Vince. Happy Thursday, Vince.
Happy Thursday, Ryan. I think we've got my audio straightened out for tonight. We'll see. So those of you that were here for the crazy, not normal, was it the Monday night show, the Tuesday night? When did we last meet?
Oh, that was Monday, I think.
That was Monday, yeah. So Monday, my audio was for crap. But hopefully tonight is better. And it needs to be better. We all need to be a little bit better. The team needs to be better. We'll talk about some ways where we can kind of participate with that a little bit later in the show. But before we get there, I want to make sure that we shout out my buddy, Captain John Black. I think last Monday, Ryan, you called him Captain Jack, which is
Jack Black is why I was thinking that. What had happened was
Captain Jack, one of the best Billy Joel songs ever written. But that is not what Captain Black is. He's Captain Black, and he's got a charter fishing company in Panama City Beach, and he is a diehard Nole. He is a Marching Chiefs alum, and he supports everything Garnet and Gold, so we should all support him. If you're looking for some charter fishing experiences, give Captain Black's Fishing out of Panama City Beach a call. Let him know Garnet and Old sent you, and I know he will be very appreciative of that.
Now, Vince, we have some goals tonight, don't we?
We do have some goals tonight. This is a brand new thing we're going to try tonight. You guys can let us know if this is great or not, but we want to give away memberships again tonight. So we're going to give away 5, but in order to do that, we want to set a goal here. So we want to hit a $25 super chat goal for tonight. And if we hit that, we're going to give away 5 memberships at some point in the show. So as soon as we hit that goal, we will start the countdown on when we're going to do the membership giveaway. And so that's something new we're going to try tonight. We'll see how it goes. You know about bullets and cannonballs, Ryan?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Bullets and cannonballs. So you want to try something new, but maybe you don't want to go whole hog on something. So you don't want to shoot a cannonball to start out. You want to try some smaller things. This we would say is a bullet.
Yeah, that's what my wife told me when she met me.
Yeah, we're not going to go there on that, but that's what we're going to try to do tonight. If you're interested in helping us reach our goal tonight, super chat us and get your comment read as well when you do that.
I see Doug Rohan in the chat. It's good to see you, Doug. I know you've been lighting X up, and I want to talk a little bit about that because the whole X has been fun. But Vince, we're going to start it off just with rampant wild speculation on our parts.
Yeah, but is it wild, Ryan?
According to some of the media types, it's still ridiculous because what they said 3 years ago, though contradictory in a major way to what they're saying today, it still is basically the same thing as what they're saying is, 2 years ago I said ironclad and $500 million to get out, but hey, it's still a lot of money, and so I wasn't that wrong, and you guys are just crazy. That's what the tenor on X is.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is no one likes to be wrong. And I don't know if that's interesting or not, but people will bend over backwards and they will get themselves in all kind of weird yoga downward dog positions in order to not admit that they were totally off base, because they may have let their pettiness and their rivalry and their inferiority complex get in the way of their logic and intelligence. But they do not want to ever admit that they were way off base. our man Doug Rohan's been reminding people how off base they were.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to some of that. But yeah, everybody's talking about how after Monday's revelation, after Monday's bomb, after Monday's enormous shift in what had been going on, a lot of people are just saying, yeah, it's no big deal. Florida State's still in the league. We told you they would be, and there's no way they're going to get out before 2030. And for all of our Nole brethren and sisterin, I don't know if that's a word, but it is tonight, that are upset that we still have the patch, the ACC patch on the uniform. Ryan and I are going to talk about tonight how you may not have to be waiting too much longer before you're appeased by that.
I'm appeased right now, Vince, just by the sound of your voice. It welcomes Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. It's a great day to be alive. Vince, let's get into this in detail. So we all know what came out. We all talked about in our last show, right? Right now, it's $200 million. It goes down $18 million every year, and then
it's 165.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. The original report,
right,
when we were on Monday, was $200 million, and then it goes down, periodically until you reach the 75 mil point, right? When we recorded that show, 200 million was still like, it's still a little stiff, and especially if we're only going to take partial shares because conferences like the Big Ten are still in the middle of their current TV deal, they might not want to give a large share, and so it might make more sense for us to wait, maybe at minimum like 3 years or something, and then definitely by 5, right? And it would make sense for the Big Ten. But that was under the premise of 200 mil. And 200 mil is a lot different than 165. So when I read that, Vince, it reminds me of when you have a TV you really want, and it's like $3,000, right? It's $3,000, and you're like, that's too much. I'm not spending $3,000 on a TV. That's ridiculous, right? But then it's Super Bowl weekend, and it goes down to $23.49, and now you're like, who cares? Man, $700 off. Maybe we could.
That's right.
Swing it, and you start to talk yourself into it. Now, the important thing is, even though us as I guess you consider us tertiary media, right? We're not like in the weeds, but
if we're that,
we thought it was 200 million, but I think we can rest assured that Florida State on the inside knew what the figures were verbally before like the official ink was dried, right? So they were likely already for a few weeks at least in some form of agreement, knowing what the figure would be. When it gets to 165, that's for if we want to get out in 2020, like this year, this season coming up, which was never going to happen. We were never ever going to leave in this coming season. That would be ridiculous. But 2026, maybe it's what would it be? It would be like 140 something, right? 149
minus 18 million.
Yeah, be around 140 something.
I don't have a calculator in front of me, and my figuring ain't so great.
Yeah,
but it's less than 165. How about that?
Yeah, so 140 something. We already know we have 100 mil, like pretty much that's been confirmed across the board that we have like guarantees for that amount. That's not too far off from 140. And so what you start to do for the fun math in your head is say, wouldn't it be fun if Florida State at some point in the next calendar year announced we intend to leave the ACC and we are joining the Big Ten or the SEC in 2026. And guess what? If we pay, let's say $140 million to go out in 2026, that doesn't hurt as much now, even if we take a partial share or less than full share from a conference, because you can't just look at the TV deal revenue that we get from that conference. If we were to join the Big Ten or the SEC in 2026, Vince, the ticket sales at Florida State would be incredible. The interest from a our show for sure, but think all shows, all media, um, other kinds of NIL deals that probably maybe more money comes in for NIL because people are excited. So there's other tertiary effects, playoff positions, that you have to take into account if you're Florida State, not just the TV deal that a partial amount would be from the Big Ten. And that partial amount would only, if we join in 26, would only be for another 3.5 years. And then they renegotiate anyways, and we get a full share after that. So the math gets interesting, I think, Vince, for a realistic exit in either the 2026 or 2027 season. I can't imagine a scenario in which it waits all the way to 2030. What do you think?
The reasons you said are all valid. And, everybody's talking about the reason why it won't happen is because, first of all, of the money. I think we've already talked about how Florida State's in a no-lose at this point. If it happened tomorrow, Ryan, we'd be paying $165 million. Whatever. I mean, whatever. I don't have $165 million, and I know you don't. Like, we don't.
Not yet.
But from the university's perspective, whatever. If it happens tomorrow, but if it doesn't happen tomorrow, if we wait a year, well, that's $18 million off. Okay. Another year, $18 million off. Okay. The main thing that a lot of people didn't understand on Monday night was that was like an all-inclusive resort price, which included the rights fees, right? So if Florida State decides to pay and leave tomorrow, the rights go with us. If it's next year, the rights go with us. If it's the year after that, the rights go with us. So we're really kind of in a no-lose situation. The only thing we're waiting on is the right timing. And I don't think the right timing is 2030, because by that point, much of the negotiation for the Big Ten's new deal will have already happened.
Yeah.
Like that's when the new deal starts.
Based on the teams that are there right then already.
Correct. So if Florida State is going to be in one of those two leagues. It's going to be in the Big Ten or, unfortunately, the SEC.
Depending on who you talk to, some would love to be in the SEC.
Oh, I'm sure, but I'm only speaking for me, Ryan, because that's all I can speak for. And that's a pettiness part of me. I don't want any part of the incestuous stuff that goes on in that league. But so they're going to be in one of those two leagues. There's no lose. When the Big Ten starts talking about redoing this deal, and by the way, I think there's still a contract out there that hasn't been signed as far as NBC involved with the Big Ten deal. Like, it's still waiting to be signed, and I think there's some sticking points there. The Big Ten is going to want to know, and their media partners are going to want to know, who is going to be making up this league prior to 2030. So you back that up. Let's just say the negotiations, they really start sharpening their pencils, a year ahead of that time.
I would argue that's a year even further because you want to prove to the TV providers what the ratings were for your product once those teams were added. So ideally, you would like the teams to have been there and played a whole year.
That's you're going right where I'm going. So 2029, you have a lot of the metrics that you can already count on because those teams are in your league and they have played a schedule, right? So if you think of it that way, let's just say you back it up then, Florida State's playing in one of those two leagues in 29, okay? In order for that to happen, the scheduling for that, they got to think about scheduling. So they're thinking about scheduling at least a year and a half before that. So you're talking at the end of the 27 season to know who's going to be in your league, to play in your league in the 29 season in order to have the deal in place for the 2030 season. In order to be in order to announce that you're going to be in another league at the end of 27, you have to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed in 26. And what year is it right now, Ryan?
It's 1 year away.
It's 1 year away. So so let's just say that's in my opinion, that's the furthest case. Like,
to make
scenario.
it happen smoothly.
To make it happen, and for 29, so you have one season of your new partner or your new team being in your league. That's just one season. Say you wanted them to be in the league multiple seasons in order to get a real gauge of what the viewership's going to be and the revenue and the ad revenue and all that stuff. That means you have to back it up even more. That means that somebody has to make some decisions. Some talks have to be happening, and real formal talks have to be happening tomorrow.
Yeah. Right now.
So even though like we are frustrated to a degree, I'm not really, but a lot of people are, like, and I've seen some posts about it. People are like, this Florida State leadership, I'm very disappointed in them that we are still wearing the ACC patch. People, this stuff doesn't turn on a dime. Like, it's more than just Florida State swapping out a uniform and repainting the field. Like, there's more to it than that. So, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if you would be shocked. Probably Doug wouldn't be too shocked either, and he can chime in here in the comments if he'd like. I wouldn't be too shocked if we started hearing about the plan for Florida State at some point during this football season.
Yes, and I believe, Vince, my opinion on that is it wouldn't come from like FSU tweeting out something. It would come from an ESPN reporter, a Fox reporter, Yahoo Sports, someone who reports on college football, saying sources inside with knowledge of the situation at Florida State or Clemson tell me that they intend to join the Big Ten in 2026 or 2027 or whatever it is. That's the first we're going to hear about it. It will not be from an official release. It won't be from a board of trustees meeting. It won't be from any of that. It'll be Ross Dellinger tweeting out, sources say that these are the moves. And then the fun really begins, because the first team where a source with knowledge of the situation goes to Dellinger, well, then 2 days later, sources also claim inside this program that they intend to also do this or go to this conference. Well, then the free fall is on. The frenzy begins. The blood is in the water, a la the Pac-12, right? Where it's like, oh, okay. All these other teams are going to say, we got to get with the getting, right? And I'm going to actually put one other piece of interesting information out here. If the ACC, meaning the actual entity and Jim Phillips and all that, would like to exist post Florida State, Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, well, wouldn't they? Because they get that 165 or 140 whatever $1 million, right? They would love to use that to reinvest and maybe go get some, not big time programs, but some mid-tier, maybe even some Big 12 programs. Certainly maybe USF and UCF and all these other guys to join the new ACC so they can survive. Because what they don't want to happen is 2030 comes around and everyone all at once all announces they're going and why, like at the same time. So that's an important argument, is that I promise you the ACC has not relegated themselves to, well, we won't exist after 2030. I know a lot of people are tweeting about that and making fun of it, but that's not their plan. They want to continue making a salary, the people, and want to continue having jobs. But to do that, they have to get some more teams.
Yeah. Hold that thought, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hold that thought, because we got a bunch more people in here that have shown up prior or after we went through our initial spiel. And Ryan, get ready to do some shout outs, but I wanted to remind everybody that there's some ways that you can support the show here. You can Venmo us at Garnet and Old. You can also super chat And there are memberships on YouTube as well. Anybody that's watching the show right now, if you are watching on YouTube, if you haven't already smashed the like button, please do that. It's easy and it's free.
I like chop the like button.
Chop the like button. You can also grab the link and share it out. Let other people know what's going on here tonight. We're talking about the topic of the week, maybe the topic of the month, could be the topic of the year. And if you're watching on X, pop on over to YouTube real quick if you don't mind, just to chop the like button. We would appreciate that. And you're seeing a banner show up here above Ryan's head, right over
Every
there.
now and then. Yep.
Every now and then. We're trying something new tonight. We're trying to put a goal in front of us here, try and get $25 in super chats. And if we do that, we're going to give away 5 memberships on the YouTube channel tonight. Ryan, why don't you do some shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a lot of people participating. Like to shout out longtime friend of the show, Tomcat. I like he's referring to my background, the Star Wars theme. I actually, no, to be fair, the last 2 shows I've had it. It was only when I had people staying at my house that I had what the, if you liked it, I can go right back to it. Right. But yeah, thank you very much, Tomcat. Brett Taylor, again, big time watcher and fan of the Gar and Old Show.
Always
FSU,
here.
Clemson, UNC, Miami, Georgia Tech, etc. will all leave the ACC as soon as they have a landing spot in the Big Ten of the SEC. Just depends on how quickly those 2 conferences plus ESPN and Fox want to expand. Love that comment. Doug Rohan, of course, friend, supporter, part of the show sometimes.
Hey, he's been on every show this week. He's been everywhere.
I want to keep going through these. Grill Master, always watching the Gar and Old Show. I figured it would be till next year we would announce leaving after the settlement, but I'm interested. Quick shout out to other people so we can keep this thing rolling. Almighty Finn in the chat. Elijah Barrera in the chat. And last, Doyle Smith. It goes on and on and on. Jerry Astainza. I'm going to say Astainza. Great show.
Astainza, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry if we butchered your name, Jerry, but thanks, guys, for continuing to watch the Gar and Old Show. We couldn't do it without any of you. But back to the topic, Vince. What do you think about that ACC survival mode? As far as, man, they need this cash from the teams leaving to survive long term.
Well, yeah. I mean, just like we're talking, we're backtracking, from 2030 for our sake, for the Noles' sake.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC needs to backtrack that too. The Big 12 is not afraid and they're not shy. They are going and they are constantly looking to expand. They are not shy about that. It's their commissioner is light years ahead of what's our commissioner's name?
Jim Phillips.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what his name is. He's light years ahead of him. So they're going to be looking to pluck teams. The ACC does not want to be left holding the bag again and having to pick the scraps from what's left. And they are going to be if they don't start thinking about it now. I think as part of the deal, I think it's understood when everybody signed off on this deal that Florida State and Clemson and probably a couple other teams are going to leave. It's no secret that they are going to leave. And I think that the ACC wanted to have clarity on that so they could feel good about getting the ball rolling in terms of their own survival, whatever that's going to look like.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's some decent teams that they could bring in to still get a fine media rights deal. What they don't want to do is be the PAC conference that overplayed their hand thinking that they could get more or do more with what they already had, and then it cost them and they cease to exist. That's what they can't have happen. As a business, that was suicide. We all watched it in real time and just in amazement on the West Coast saying, what are you guys doing? Take that Apple TV deal, right? Take it.
Yeah.
Take what you can get it. The scraps are the scraps. But what I find fascinating, Vince, is that going back to the stuff Rohan's been calling out to the people, and by the way, some people save receipts for big items. Rohan, my man, saves receipts for the small fry. He saves receipts for everything.
He's
right?
got he's got receipts for the extra Chick-fil-A packets that people gave him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got receipts for all of it. It's been a treat.
Yeah, and all of them, again, I said at the beginning, say the same thing where, well, what this isn't too much different than what I said where it was ironclad and 500. Well, yeah, it is. And here's the thing, Vince, they know that.
They
They just
do.
refuse to say, hey, I was wrong, which is odd. It always is odd to me when people refuse that, Vince, because Vince, how many times that you've known me and me publicly on the show, have I made an outrageous claim and then a few weeks later said, guys, I got that wrong?
That's never happened, Ryan.
I publicly, I don't see our friend Brett Frey in here. Uh,
Freeze.
yep, but I famously said that I thought Mike Norvell would take the Alabama job, and that he is. And I came on that next show and said, "Yeah, guys, I'm an idiot. Like I was
Hey,
wrong."
that's a classic moment. There are a
Mhm.
few classic moments from our show. One of them would be the snub, the live stream of the snub, which will go down in history. If you haven't seen that, it's in our YouTube live feed. Go back and look at that. It is it's a
Painful.
treat. It's a treat.
Mhm.
It's painful and it is a treat. But
Shirtless Ryan.
the other one would be Ryan just totally losing his mind about Mike Norvell going to Bama.
I want to shout out Jerry, my man, $20 towards our $25 goal. My man, hey Jerry, pop a question or some topic
Yeah,
in the chat. Give us
absolutely.
something. We want to shout you out. Much appreciated, Jerry. I haven't seen you on our show a lot, so I'm excited to have you. Every Thursday we're here at 7 o'clock, and we do, if any breaking news happens, that's crazy. We also go live other days like we did this past week. But my man Jerry out here
Thank you,
doing the
Jerry.
Lord's work. Thank you.
Yeah, not only are you helping us out, but you've gotten us so much closer to us giving away 5 free memberships to the Garnet and Old Show. So how about that? We're only 5 away. I need to have a little like thermometer thing.
Yeah, technically 501.
501, correct. Yeah, it's all fungible numbers. We're almost there.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to point out one thing again, going back to Rohan, Almighty Fenderites. I've always wanted to meet you, Doug. Thanks for shutting certain podcasters up the last summer. You were our voice. Thank you so much. And listen, Doug's been on our show, what, maybe
Yeah.
like 20 times by now?
Oh,
We
yeah.
can't
Listen,
say enough about my man, Doug.
Almighty Finn, just go to a game. We'll make sure you and Doug get hooked up, and you can buy him a beer or you can buy him a bourbon or whatever you want to do. Doug is real people. He's salt of the earth, and he's honest, and he's a passionate guy as far as the Noles are concerned. So we've loved having him on the show, and you know, we what are we going to do now? This legal thing is done. What are we going to do now? We got to find other ways to get Doug on for different reasons, and we will figure that out.
Well, I also, and we talked about maybe doing this, but I think it'd be really fun to get a few of the old gangs back together, some of the shows that we've done cross-platform shows with, and have a blowout show about this topic. So, guys, if you would like to see the Garner and Old Show, Renegade Report, Chris from
Your
um,
addicts.
Spear Addicts, or anyone else, if you'd like us to try to get with them again and try to do maybe like one mass show, or go on their shows and they come on our shows about this, let us know, because we want to hear from you guys. It's been a while since we've coordinated with them. We did a lot preseason, but it would be fun to do that again soon.
Something like that may be happening tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Just a heads up.
Nice, very nice. One other topic around this situation is the silence, Vince, the absolute silence from the also rans of the conference. Now, I've seen a few
Yeah.
comments. I've seen a few people, but the bold chest pounding of a year ago or 2 years ago saying, you guys signed it. Sorry about that. Right?
Yeah.
You don't hear that much anymore. And my God, Lee Brown.
For the tariffs. Look at this. Listen, the tariffs are here, the tariffs are gone. The tariffs are here, the tariffs are gone. You're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it. Mexico's going to pay for it. The cartel's going to pay for it.
The super chats are reciprocal.
Yeah, it's, it just all depends on what time of day it is and what kind of mood we're in, whether the tariffs are going to be applied. Lee Brown, thank you so much. That is very generous of you. And that puts us already over the goal here. We're barely even halfway through the show. So that means at, let's say 7:40, Ryan, we're going to give away 5 memberships to the channel.
Well, you know what that means is that you just set the goal way too low. You don't know the Garden Old audience like we know, like the people know. The people are here. They would spend thousands, Vince. You should have put 10, 15,000.
Yeah.
They would have paid it. They're here.
I don't know.
The great give to the Garden Old show.
The great give. You could have put 165 million and would have gone down 18 million during every 10-minute segment of the show or whatever. Yeah. But Lee, if you have a comment, get the comment in as well and make sure we can talk about that. So I saw someone posted on here and Doug replied, Jerry's got a comment. So get ready to pull that up. Someone commented and Doug replied that they thought that 2028 would be the year that we would be in a new league. That goes exactly with kind of the way I'm thinking with this too.
Gary, who just kindly gave us the $20, says, do you think we need to get another super player in the spring portal, or do you think the team has enough talent? Hey, listen, I think it's yes and yes. Would be great. I would love another superstar in the portal. History shows that Mike sure isn't shying away from when needed. If he feels after the spring ball, right, especially if he feels like there is a gap in a certain position, Florida State's been known to hit that market and go after and get a superstar, a la Keon Coleman, right? Do I think it's a necessity? It's not a necessity. It is a simple situation on would be nice. It's a nice want. It's a nice, I can't wait if we do, but I don't think necessity. It's not like we are depleted and have one person on the roster in a certain position and we need, 1 or 2 players to take the field. So it's not a need, but it, of course, is a want. I would love a superstar to join the team.
I'm going to be brutally honest with you and let you all know that I'm not going to pretend that I've been paying strict attention to the portal right now. I just haven't been. But I will say that what we currently have in place, I think will get us to a much better season next season. And much better season, 7, 8, 9 wins. You're like, well, that's not good enough. Agreed. But remember, we're coming from 2, right? So in that aspect, I think we have the pieces in place, short of injuries and those kind of things, to get to that 7, 8, 9 win. What you're asking is, do we need another super player? If one's available to get us to 10 wins, to make that difference between 9 and 10 wins, man, yeah. But the question is whether that quote unquote super player is going to be there. I don't think the staff is going to reach as much as they did this past season. Yep. And I think rightly so. I think they've been very judicious about not only the talent of the people they're bringing in and the types of, but the types of players, like the mentality of the players.
Proven.
And I think that's super important considering what we all saw this past season, which was, it seemed like a whole lot of players and not much team.
Yeah, there's a lot of individualism on that team, a whole lot of individualism. Which, listen, sometimes you get a whole lot of individualism and it just clicks and they all get along. We talked about this last week. But sometimes it doesn't work. And we got the unlucky side of that stick and it should never happen again. But I think we should all be okay for now with that 8-win total. I would feel good about 8 wins this next season.
By the way, in honor of Doug and attorney's fees, Brett Taylor writes, the FSU attorneys earned every penny of their fees, and it was a real bargain. Agreed. You could think about
attorneys. If you get in trouble in the state of Georgia, or getting anything, if you need help in the stage or advice in the legal terms, Rohan Law. Rohan
Yeah.
Law in the state of Georgia is the go-to person and the go-to firm for all your legal needs.
Well, and they want to be your best friend on your worst day. And while they cannot practice in the state of Florida, they are more than willing. Doug is more than willing, if you have an issue or a question, even to field that question from you and kind of point you in the direction you need to go. Doug will do that because Doug is a Nole, and Doug will take care of his own for sure. I have a question about this one, Almighty Finn. VC needs to have a debate against the Monty. I don't even know who the Monty Show is, but if they want to debate something, let me know what that's about. I'd be more than happy to lob a few volleys over Monty's way, whoever that is.
Vince, is it possible that if you did that debate, we could do like hot ones, and like you guys each eat hotter and hotter hot wings as you're having the argument?
Yeah, I'm not doing a chip challenge or anything like that because what I've noticed, what I've noticed as the old part of our team here has gotten older is that the stomach lining isn't enjoying the things that I did as a younger man. And so I have to be a little more careful these days than I used to be because I didn't used to take much care when it came to eating hot foods. But I take a much better care now. For those of you wondering, the super goal has been reached. We've already reached the super goal, and we are 2 minutes away from giving away some memberships to our YouTube channel. Ryan, we need to do a members only show this weekend.
I will be I am out of town, but Monday I can do one.
Okay, we'll do it Monday then. We'll do it Monday. But we've reached the goal, but there's nothing that keeps us from overachieving the goal. So if you want to contribute to the show here and get us even farther past the goal, super chat. That's the way you do that. All right, let me get ready with the membership giveaway here, Ryan. It's you run the show here for a moment.
That's the worst. That's the most dangerous thing you've ever said, Ryan. Run the show. I do want to answer your question about who Monty is. A Notre Dame fan, and he really dislikes FSU. He spits nothing but fire at FSU. Well, listen, Notre Dame fans, I would be upset too if I had to live in South Bend, Indiana. It's not very nice. It's not great. Ellis Momo wrote, "You're going to be hard to win 10 this year with our schedule." Listen. We got to be realistic, guys. We're coming off 2 wins. 8 wins to 9 wins would be like I'm jumping to the moon. Think about how all of you felt after the 2 first seasons with Mike Norvell when we won 9 regular season games and won our 10th in a bowl game. Guys, we were through the roof. We were dancing. We were eating Cheez-Its.
Yeah. Dance to the war chant.
Prince Cheddarton was leading us with the bowl game. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, Prince Chedward.
Chedward, yeah.
Prince Chedward. All right, we're ready now, Ryan. We're going to gift 5 memberships right now. You need to be watching on YouTube to get an opportunity to get one of these. And when you get one of these, it gives you a free access for a month. If you choose to go on from that, that's up to you. But it's free access for a month at the mid-tier level of the memberships. Here we go.
And they are first come, first serve. And guys, when you become a member, connect with us on X. Say, hey, I just became a member. And you can then, once we follow you back, you can DM us on X. And we will be doing...
I got a membership. That shouldn't happen. I need to look into that.
Vince, I will... Here's what I'm going to do for you, Vince. I'm going to do a members-only show, and I'm going to let you watch it.
Beautiful. That's weird. I don't know why... Oh, I know why that happened.
Possible.
Yep, because I'm keeping track of the show on my YouTube account just to make sure we're not getting any glitches.
Vince is going to be like The Office here. He's going to have a cake come in that said it could only be you, and it's going to have Vince's face on it. That's
right. So going back to so let's talk about this. King Spleen, congratulations. You got a membership. K-Dog 350, you got one. J-Dub, you got one. And Daryl, Captain D63 got one. So enjoy the membership for a month.
this Vincent Ciccarelli a-hole out here. He always talks so
Yeah,
much trash.
it's a VCA hole.
Yeah.
This Monty guy, he hates FSU. And yeah, so if he wants to pull me on the show, let him pull me on the show. Well, we'd have a nice discussion. And I'm almost positive that he will have a very different view of Florida State and Florida State fandoms after he debates me.
Yeah, I think it would be great. What I would like to do is just go. By the way, I've been saying this a long time. I'm going to start reaching out to people ahead of this coming season. I would like, Vince, whether it be just me or both of us, I would like to get an opposing rivals podcast group to come on our show and do a preview of the matchup for the coming year.
Yep, a lot of shows try to do that, and then they kind of they can't find the right kind of person. But I think between you and I, we know enough people that we should be able to track down some rival shows to kind of have a banter back and forth. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now, Vince, the last thing I want to talk about with this whole Florida State conference situation is, man, I'm so glad we'll have the players-only facility and the stadium done and all those things. Because, Vince, close your eyes for a second, Vince. It's a September Labor Day weekend. It pans over. You are looking live from Doak Campbell Stadium, and Florida State, look at this beautiful renovation they just did. They just completed this 2 years ago. They spent the X amount of dollars on it. And now we get to watch the Ohio State Buckeyes versus Florida State at Doak Campbell Stadium. Doesn't that feel good?
It does. Let's talk about, because someone in the chat mentioned SEC versus the Big Ten. I get all the benefits of it being that league. I get it. And there are a lot. And I'm sure the local economy would prefer that. And I'm sure that, from as far as us traveling to away games, it's be easier for that. So I'm not discounting the benefits. I believe, like I think the Big Ten believes, that this is much more than just athletics and football.
It just means more.
This is about the academic goals and aspirations of the university as a whole. It's not just about football. Because of that, I'm pretty sure that the powers that be at the university level would prefer the Big Ten.
Yeah, with it becoming likely AAU status
within the next 2 to 3 years, I would assume. Mm-hmm. And if that's going to happen, if the Big Ten is kind of already, these kind of feelers are already out there, and now that this deal is done, they can have formal feelers, which sounds strange, but
formal feelers, yeah,
formal feelers that the Big Ten can grease the skids on the AAU thing for Florida State. Mm-hmm. More than maybe they already are.
So now, I can play devil's advocate, though. I could say, listen, do things a little different down here in the South in the SEC. Come on down and play the University of Georgia, where we're only a 4-hour drive away. Come on down, Vincey. Let's have a game. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And if I wasn't so, put off and just disgusted, and it turns my stomach to think about all the nonsense and all the years and decades of good old boy gentlemen's agreements and all this other stuff. And, there's no way you can ever get in. And Florida State is, they already own Florida. Why would they even want Florida State? Florida State, you know what? I'm petty. I'm going to hold that grudge. Now, if that happens to be the league that we get into, fine, we're going to make all the money and I'm fine with it. And I'm going to go to the games and I'll go to some away games like I always do. But I'm never going to flush I'm never gonna flush that. I'm never gonna flush the Feinbaum stench. Just
Oh,
never gonna do it.
yeah.
The Big Ten, like I started to say, I think there's a higher purpose and a higher mentality for the university as a whole. And I know that most people that are watching this could care less maybe about the academics and AAU and whatever. I'm thankful that the powers that be don't think like we do a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
I would never be able to get into the university now. Never. It's way too difficult to get in. But I can tell you that my degree is worth more now than it was when I graduated because of the prestige and the climb of the university, right? And if it gets AAU status and it becomes, the southern arm of the Big Ten, come on, man.
Come on down to Florida. Way down here in Tallahassee. Our GPA requirement's a little higher down here these days, Vincey.
Just pull on up here to Tallahassee. And go under the the covered streets.
Basically, Tallahassee is Georgia, but to be fair,
it really is. It really is. Monty, if you're listening right now, I'm waiting. What are you waiting for, Monty? I don't even know who you are, Monty.
Vince, we're in the last 10 minutes of the show, and you know what that means.
Well, before we're in the last 10 minutes, I know you're trying to move on here, but I want to start a new hashtag here beforehand. Sometimes when we do the random topic, sometimes we lose some people, which I get. This is a little kind of out there. But before we lose you, if you are going to leave, you may not leave. I want to show this new hashtag to you.
Say it, Vince. Do it.
WNATDT. Watch Noles all the damn time. People, we're already watching. And now that we know what this new deal is, it's about viewership. We're about to send this thing through the roof.
Yeah, I don't care if we're 0-8. Watch
I don't care.
Sports Day on a Friday night.
And I want you to put it on every device you own. I want you to, when we first started this show, Ryan, I would tell some folks at work, like, hey, we've got this new show. Would you mind listening to it or watching it? And I would actually tell them, this is kind of embarrassing, but I would tell them, hey, I don't even care if you've listened to it. Just turn it on and turn your volume down. Right? Just put it away somewhere, but let it run.
Yeah.
You can put the Noles on every device you own. Your elderly parents, get access to their devices and put the Noles on.
No, not devices. They still have a cable box, Vince. Let's be clear.
Well, it's fine. Whatever they have. We're going to be watching Noles all the damn time on every device we own over and over and over again. And we are going to push these viewership numbers through the roof. This is a great example, Ryan, of how what we do as fans, why it matters.
Yes.
Watch Noles all the damn time.
And if you heard me talk about the last 10 minutes, it's because every week, at least during the off season, we bring, and not necessarily both of us, but I think next week let's do you, Vince, and this week we'll do me. So you be prepared next week. This week, a random topic of discussion. It can be anything. And what I wanted to talk about is wasting money. When I say wasting money, not always mean that you wasted it and it was pointless. Wasting money, Vince. And this stems from, busy throughout the week. Sometimes my wife works weekends, being, a nurse. So her schedule's all over the place. But Vince, there is no greater amount of money that gets spent than when the wife and I have a weekend where she happens to be off, I happen to be off, and we have no plans with anyone or anything, nothing going on.
This is the worst.
Unbelievable. Vince, we'll go out for breakfast. It just starts it starts innocently. You go out for breakfast, as one does on a Saturday morning, and then you start saying, what do we got going on today? What do you want to do? Oh, you know what? Me and my wife, we'll go walk around Epcot or something, and we'll just head 2 hours, right? Well, then all of a sudden we're eating around the world and we're having a few drinks And then that night we're in Orlando. We don't want to eat when we get home. Who cares about that fish you bought at the store 2 days ago? You know what you need? You want a steak. Let's go out for a steak. And on the way home, let's get a bottle of wine. Let's have a little something. Then you wake up Sunday. Oh man, we went way too hard. We shouldn't have done that. So you make breakfast and it's great. And you're like, I'm so glad we saved money. But then by 11, you're kind of like, we'll go see a movie or something. I don't know. Let's go walk around a store. And before you know it, you're buying some $700 thing that you never needed that you saw in a store. And you're like, well, we should get this today. Or RV shopping. Vince and all the people in the chat, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me a weekend off. If you have kids without the kids for a weekend, just you and your spouse, girlfriend, husband, whatever, boyfriend, whatever. No further amount of money gets spent than during those times.
Yes. What is the saying? Idle hands. What's that?
Idle hands are the devil's.
It's some like idle people spend more money. It's like it's better that you're busy and you have projects you need to do, because as soon as your mind is clear, you start thinking about all the things that you don't have or that you want to get, or that and it's always it's always a kick to the wallet. It's a kick to the bank account, and it's absolutely true. And it is much more dangerous when you and your significant other are in the same mode, like you said. If one of us is kind of idle, then the other one can kind of keep you in check a little bit, right? But if you're both idle, then that's when things start to go really awry with the bank account. Oh my gosh. Amazon keeps reminding me the things that I looked up. It's like, why haven't you bought this yet?
Yeah.
And you know what? It's 12 cents cheaper than the last time you looked at it. And there's this coupon to get 10% off.
And for $2.99 extra, you can get it delivered like in 3 hours.
Oh yeah, it's like you can get it by 5 p.m. tonight. So not only you're going to get what you want, you're going to get it today. But you know what? I don't need that. Well, maybe I do need it, Ryan.
Yeah, electronics for me, Vince. And listen, I'm a techie guy. My wife will tell you that I've bought more chargers, cables, wires, adapters that would change everything on my setup. Man, you know what? I need this splitter. I need this. Can I tell you that? And Vince, I want to ask you this too. The most wasteful thing I've ever spent on my personal hobby, like electronics. There is a device. I wish I could remember the name. It's $400, Vince. I was having an issue on my old TV, not my new. My new one's great; it works perfectly. Where you plug all your devices into. I had a media switcher that would auto switch between the inputs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the one goes to the TV, and then it does HDMI ARC return to the soundbar. Well, that was great, except for whatever reason, that setup, even though I had everything, the right cables, the right setup, TV supported it, would not get Dolby Atmos. Even though all the devices supported it. It would always go down to stereo PCM or Dolby 5.1. I'm like, what the hell? I was so frustrated then. So you know what I did? I went on I'm talking like a deep dive, like nerdy deep dive. I'm like, how can I get the picture and the switching to the TV and then pure unfiltered audio? Now, there's a lot of cheap boxes out there that will send compressed PCM or whatever. I know
you weren't having it. You weren't having that.
But I found this device, and it's on like an audio video files,
right?
Like top list, $400, and all it is, Vince, two HDMI's in. Sorry, one HDMI in. No, two. So you go one that goes to your soundbar directly from the device, and one that goes directly to your TV, and it takes the audio and sends only video signals to the TV. And it worked great. But the problem with that is, Vince, is it still didn't do Dolby Atmos because didn't read the deep dive. All of this, Vince, my headaches were because the Samsung Frame 20 to 20 edition that I had did not support HDMI 2.1. So I spent all this money on a solution that didn't exist because my TV, wasn't going to cooperate. So I wasn't trying. But then Vince, this caused me to buy a new TV. And then I just put that box I no longer need because now my TV works perfectly with my sound system. And that box is sitting in my closet. That's $400 box, Vince.
Yep. I'm not going to call you out on that because my life is filled with gadgetry that was for a time and a moment. And now it's sitting in a box or maybe not even anywhere that I can even find it. So
anything recent, anything waste, like you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. We all have those things. It's embarrassing. Maybe you play golf and maybe your garage is filled with, the next greatest putter that you bought that you never use, right? So we all kind of do this kind of stuff. So I get it.
Vince, you're kind of being a little vague. I think maybe the wife doesn't even know you bought this. And
what do you mean?
I want to hear an item.
No. She knows it all. She knows it all. She will just roll her eyes at the things that I've bought. So yeah, there's not any hiding of the gadgetry when you have joint accounts.
Yeah, that's gone.
So there's no hiding of anything.
No slush fund.
Yeah, no. Oh, that's not true. On a budgetary thing, we each have a discretionary fund, a little bit of a discretionary pot that we can play with a little bit. But there are no questions asked about that. It's just, you just do what you want. It's just money you get to do.
You got that?
Micanopy 1851. Thank you for watching the show again tonight. You watched the other day. I appreciate that. And this comment here, it makes my heart feel good. Academics matter. You are correct. Absolutely. Last thing here, we're coming up on 8 o'clock. This is a
trivia question, Vince, for for a boomer like you. I'm gonna pull up a name. So you see that name there, right?
Yep.
In the youthful term, what is a Chad, Vince? You know what? Because that's what I believe that's referencing, unless that's really his name.
Preppy guy.
You're not too far off. It basically means like you're the guy. Like, oh man, he's a Chad. Like he's
a Chad. Yeah. I got you. See, I'm not. Hey man, I'm not that old.
Back then you guys were like, he's the. What was the big term when you were a kid? I don't know. The bee's knees. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, what was it, the 1950s? No, dude, I'm not that old. We were pushing, and I was pushing the last time we talked, Ryan, about the FSU Great Give, and that happened yesterday. And by the way, Ryan, thank you for giving. I appreciate it. I know the Chiefs do as well. Any of you that are in the chat right now, if you had the opportunity and it fit within your budget to give, thank you so much. They fundraised over $75,000 yesterday.
That'll buy some socks.
Yeah, and I've got a connection there with the fundraising arm of the College of Music. I haven't talked to him yet today, but I know the last time I talked to him, with all of the FSU Great Gives over the last few years or so, they had gotten 1/3 of the way to the $1.6 million endowment that they're trying to hit. The $75,000 would be on top of that. And so within a year or two, I think they're going to hit that endowment. And so thank you, everybody, for participating. If you did that, if you didn't, there's still time. You can still go to the Great Give site and you can still give. It just, it's just not part of the project that happened yesterday, but it still goes to Chiefs United to offset the out-of-pocket costs for the Chiefs. So thank you. I'm not an official representative of the Chiefs. I'm not anything like that, but I can just tell you as an alum, I appreciate it, and I know that they do as well.
Absolutely. It's been a great show, man. Thank you all for your kind support, monetarily and viewership-wise. You guys are the best. Again, screw ESPN, no matter what, all the time. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. And Vince, if you would, take us out.
I will. Let's go ahead and send Chiefs all the damn time, folks. because they are what college football is all about. Go Noles.
Go Noles, everyone. Have a great night.